Welcome in a new exciting episode of the Captain and Madden Show for August 1st, Friday, August 1st, here with you, the listeners. Thank you for joining us. Mike Madden on this side. I'm joined by the man himself, the captain, on the other side of the ones and twos, El Capitan. What say you for the 1st of August?
Hola, mi amigo. How are we doing?
I don't know if we were.
Hey,
this is.
I don't know. You went all El Capitan on me, so I thought maybe I had to break out some of my Spanish.
Yeah, your high school Spanish is taking over. No, it's summer's winding down, my friend. I don't know if you heard, but also, listen, we're not calendar snobs here. We know what the summer actually extends into September and even into October. So let's not cry about it.
Kind of hard to say, like, oh, summer's winding down when it was like 99 degrees outside.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the heat is still there, but
I don't care what the calendar says. If it's still this hot, it's summer. I don't care if it's November.
And I'm just kind of hearkening back to one of our first episodes when we were talking about David Lee Roth and his interaction with Henry Rollins, and the comment of like, okay, yeah, well, summer's almost winding down. What do you got, school?
You got to go back to school shopping, man.
Yeah, so I'm not going to complain about it, but yeah, we're here on an August 1st. And I think maybe that's the thing that we should be a little bit in wonder of. I think we've done, what have we done? 25, 26 episodes of this rinky-dink show. So basically half a year has been...
Still feels like the first time.
But half a year has been exhausted, getting up to this point. So congratulations on 6 months of the Captain and Madden Show.
It's given me a purpose. I have something. I'm gonna peel back the curtain a little bit and let our listeners in on a little bit of a secret. This is not a live podcast. We record this before Friday. We release it on Friday, but it's given me something to do on Thursday nights for 6 months now. Which will all end once football season ends, because we'll probably start recording on Wednesday nights.
Yeah, or these would be 12-minute episodes.
Yeah, it would be like, all right, we're at a commercial break. They're reviewing whether or not that was a catch.
All right, I'll go through the rest of your list. Hurry.
All right, what's your favorite Tom Cruise movies? Hurry up.
All right, they're snapping. They're coming out of commercial. Yeah, that's pretty funny, the way that once we get to the midway point of what's been our broadcast tenure here, you sort of you've got that sort of like the clock is ticking. Like there's going to be important stuff to do very soon, but yeah, I mean we're here to entertain you folks, the masses, and we're here to put our best feet forward, even in the heat and even in the severe weather conditions that are happening outside today here in the Bayshore area. But let's hit them with what the topic is, Captain. This was a captain creation. You're going to kind of drive the boat today, huh?
Well, I mean, should I go put my captain's hat on?
Well, your imaginary
I'm gonna have
captain's hat.
And I'm gonna have my horn, the toot toot.
Yeah.
Like what? Can I get a tugboat? Can I get a tugboat to help me out here?
We should get sound effects, and we just have a tugboat horn. Captain episode.
It's the Captain and Madden Show. It's not the Bear and the Cooter show. Like we're not doing drive time in the morning. Like
you wish we were.
Z Morning Zoo.
Yeah.
Huggla.
Anyway, get back to what you were talking about.
Shut up, Bernard.
That was my way of saying shut up, Bernard.
All right, so topic we're going to go with this week is old technology. That do we miss it? Do we like it? So I have quite a number of different, I guess, different parts of technology.
Offshoots, maybe? Okay, all right.
Yeah. that we're going to discuss. This is not a Planet of Hate episode.
No,
This
no,
is
no.
not. This is not going to be two old men yelling at clouds.
Hmm.
We're literally just going to, me and you, while we maybe, you already hit the half century mark, and I'm closing in on it.
Thank you.
I think we're both two men that are pretty much. I wouldn't say tech savvy, but I don't think we're dinosaurs. I
Oh,
don't
no,
think,
no,
it's not
no.
like this is recorded on a tape recorder and then, broadcasted over like, illegal pirate station or something. I mean,
Yeah, it's all everything is
yeah.
Morse code. That's what it is. But
So
no,
that's kind of like what we want to. I think we, as much as we embrace technology, we've both lived through. We can say like, oh, I remember using this, and
mhm.
now that it has been replaced by
Yep.
that,
Yeah.
and whether it's a good thing or a bad, or I kind of miss that,
Hmm.
or oh my God, I'm so glad they finally improved on that. I don't think anybody's missing a fax machine. Um,
No, no.
so even when that was supposedly, uh, you know, modern technology, I think we're all like, this is a piece of
That
shit
was a
and it ain't
stupid.
gonna
That was
last.
that
So,
was a stupid
all right,
advancement for sure.
part of my language there. But,
Oh, you said something bad?
I call the fax machine a piece of shit.
Oh,
So
okay. Well, apologies to
I,
fax
I
machines.
I just did it again. So
All
whatever.
right, 2 for 2.
Dip, we're all waiting for Dippin' Dots to be the ice cream of the future. It's
Yeah.
been the ice cream of the future for 35 years.
Hmm.
So
It's going to have its day in the
uh,
sun, and if it does have its day in the sun, apparently it won't melt because that's what the ice cream of the future does. But I also think like when we were having our pre-show discussion in our production meeting, the this can technically be called technology. It could technically be called just forms of, I guess, like just different devices that were used, for that were considered for convenience at one point that now have been lapped by other things. So there's going to be practical items in here. There's going to be entertainment items in here. There's going to be work based or business items. So, and then just regular everyday use, like just to get around or to survive. So, let's start with this. Kick us off with what are your opening topics?
so if this was a batting order, I guess this would be the leadoff hitter.
Okay.
First thing I thought about when I was thinking about things that we used to use and how it's kind of advanced and stuff. Uh, Typewriters.
Hmm.
Typewriters were our way of early on. I had a typewriter. That's what we used to when we actually had to type reports
Right.
in school. But some people use typewriters for if they had very bad handwriting, they would use them as instead of writing letters, they would type letters to people.
Yes.
Very early on, I mean, I remember some of my tests that were taken in school where you literally knew that the teacher typed this out on a typewriter and
Yep.
then used the ditto machine or whatever at school to make copies for us. That was how we took tests.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not everything was the number two pencil scanning, but yeah, typewriters. I mean, now obviously with computers and laser printers and stuff like that, kind of made typewriters obsolete. And even now, like, I mean, very rarely. I mean, I still work at a place that we actually use a lot of paper.
Mm.
We print stuff onto paper and then convert. We use that to take information down or whatever and then convert it back. And but we still send out whatever stuff through email and everything. But yeah, so typewriters. There's also kind of a cool factor to them. I kind of think of like me being a Pearl Jam fan. Eddie Vedder through the ages used the typewriter to instead of writing out lyrics, he would type them out on a typewriter.
Okay.
So um, and I think Tom Hanks is a big typewriter guy. He apparently collects typewriters.
Mm.
But he uses a typewriter to type, for some of the movies that I think like That Thing You Do and some of the other ones
Okay.
where he was a writer, and like that's how he wrote the script out, was through a typewriter.
Well,
And
I guess that's the lure of the typewriter, is that it was, so again, it's big with journalists, big with screenwriters, novelists. If you had your manuscripts written out by hand, maybe you were going to type them out, but you were certainly going to like either hand them to somebody else or dictate them to somebody who was going to run it through a typewriter. And this is before we even got to word processors and personal computers. But just the whole point of it cleaned up your handwriting. It allowed it to be sort of like, again, formatted for ease of reading and ease of copying and checking for mistakes, rather than trying to go through somebody's varying degrees of good, bad, or indifferent handwriting. The one thing, and you mentioned that Tom Hanks collects them, which is fascinating. I always, my big beef with typewriters, and believe me, I use my fair share of typewriters growing up, going through school before the word processor was, or the home computer was prominent. I did have to bang out a couple things on typewriters. Plus, when I was in college and you're taking journalism classes, the masochists that were the professors would give us assignments, and it was, hey, you can write your notes of your coverage of this, or your recap of so on and so forth. But I want to hear typewriters going, because I'm assigning you, you can't do this on your processor. You can't do this on the computer lab equipment. You need to go and do this on a physical typewriter, and you have to like proofread and check your own mistakes and clean it up that way. So it's kind of that, hey, it's a lesson in the history of the way that journalism was done, and the way that the print media, more than anything, kind of ran their business. So it's interesting to hear stories about people that use the typewriter specifically to write big projects and everything. My other drawback on the typewriter, I'm going to sound pretty wimpy here, man, they're heavy. Find me a typewriter that was easy to relocate, right? Like your typewriter was basically it had to be in a set space on a desk, because you're not like a laptop is easy. I can move my laptop literally anywhere, or I can take a smartphone literally anywhere. But trying to move a typewriter was you're almost like moving a refrigerator. I'm exaggerating there, but it was a pretty bulky piece.
I would equate it to being the accordion player in a band. Nobody's helping you with your equipment, dude. Nobody wants to lift an accordion.
No.
Some of the typewriters, especially if you get a real typewriter, it's made out of metal.
Mm-hmm.
Not like a kid typewriter where they're plastic or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But the ones where it had the cover kind of came off.
Yep.
And turned almost into something it folded so that it could kind of lay on your lap and to be on the go. Those weren't exactly the lightest things in the world, but
no.
I would think trying to get parts and stuff for that, it's got to be I'm sure there's if you're somebody, a collector or something, you probably already know a guy or whatever. But if I just decided tomorrow I want to get into collecting typewriters and using typewriters again,
you got to find the one guy in your state, or the one guy in your area that's
to get ribbon, to
another
get
collector,
to replace any type of parts or whatever.
That was the craziest thing, was basically the ribbon, going to get a typewriter ribbon, and I'm thinking this is before you had Staples or Office Max, or there was probably a stationery store or a hardware store in your neighborhood or around your area that you could go to, and you would probably get the replacement parts for that. But if you had to get it repaired, that's the type of thing where you have to drop it off at a repair shop and wait for them to fix it. Because if a letter got stuck, that's there's there's a gadgetry behind it. There's a physical mechanism. So it's not like it's not technically not like a machine. It's more of a it's like a lever and pulley situation.
Yeah.
So if something gets jammed, or if something like falls off of its casting, that's a whole process to like basically take the whole thing apart. And I remember like opening the top of a typewriter, even if you were changing the ribbon or checking, hey, the page didn't feed the right way, and seeing just all the inner workings of it was like almost like a spaceship, right? Where you're just taking the cover off, you're looking through, you're like, oh, the typesetting is off on this, and this is why this keeps scratching across. So it was so intricate, which leads me to believe I think we're better off with the way things are now, because if I need to type out a letter, or if I need to do something, I have a million Microsoft programs that I could use. I've got, all of these different like ways I could just send it to somebody rather than printing it off at home. So I think that we have been benefited by going away from the typewriter, away from the word processor, to even to that extent, and adapting into a more a new style of technology. So I am, as much as typewriters look cool and they sound cool when you're like clackety clacking on the typewriter, and they hear the ding at the end when you're and pushing everything, it really it's a cool sounding thing. I think we're in a better off spot currently with the way that we do typing and letter writing these days.
So before we move on to the next topic, what do you think is more annoying? The sound of a typewriter, or the sound of somebody on a laptop and all you hear is the clickety click, 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 like them typing? What's a more annoying sound?
I mean, I can pretty much block both of them. I kind of like the clackety clack of a typewriter. I wasn't surrounded by like a room of them. Anytime, again, when I was in college and taking these journalism classes, it was a pretty small group that had to like work on these things. So it wasn't like you didn't have 30 of them going off so I could imagine like if you were in an office, in like a bullpen and you heard like all of that loud typing, that would probably drive you crazy. I don't get bothered by, somebody typing on a laptop. It sounds like they're being very productive, and therefore I give them kudos.
I've always equated to something that, the great your dad, the Jaguar, coined when somebody would pack filtered cigarettes, and he would refer to them as a loud smoker.
Yeah.
when I'm at work and somebody's in the conference room across from me, and I can hear them typing very loudly on a laptop, I'm just like, there's no need for you to be that loud that I can hear you. I'm like, you're a loud typer.
Well, that's all. I think that's also somebody who's not that skilled at it too.
Like the louder I hit, like the louder it's like, it sounds like I'm being really productive.
Oh, right,
but
yeah.
You're not. You're just a loud typer.
I don't know. Yeah. Thin your fingers out.
It's like
chubs.
It's like the fake. It's like the fake lifter when you you got 6 guys lifting the couch. One guy's not really putting all their effort.
I know. Yeah. But I can make the noise like you can.
Yep.
All right. Well,
so moving on.
Let's go.
Moving on from typewriters.
Okay.
I was thinking about photography and how photography's really kind of changed. And I'm not talking about, the whole getting under the hood with the thing that where the smoke pops out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But just thinking about like, when I was a kid, I kind of remember Polaroids being a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like an instant that was our form of digitals.
Well, they called that they called that an Instacam. It was coined. The Polaroid was called an Instacamera, or an instant camera.
But I mean, I can think of my dad was kind of really into photography. He had like a 35 millimeter camera. Do you remember the? They were like really thin. I guess there weren't disposable cameras, but they were like the really thin one, and it had the tower with the flashes.
It did, yeah.
It looked like ice cubes on top of each other. Like I recently saw something or with a photo of somebody with that in the background, and I was like, oh my God, like I think one of the reasons why I wear glasses, because I think my vision was damaged by the flash from those.
Yeah,
the
they always
flash
they always
burn.
had a big flash, and they weren't. It was, I think they were made by Kodak,
Yeah. I
because
mean, it
Nikon
was
was
one of
a,
those things where
yeah.
it had the little pop up thing, and you used to have to feed the film, and then you snapped it.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, if you want, it had like it was like a screw-in thing for the flash, and it was like literally, it looked like ice cubes on top of each other. There's like maybe 4 or 5 different uh, little flashes or whatever. Oh my God! Definitely, I think every photo that you took with that, everybody had red eye. If not, I think VisionWorks probably made a ton of money off of these people. Like years later, like I suffer vision damage from too many. I had an aunt who was a big photographer, and that's why I have to wear glasses. So, but yeah, but even you think about how when we were younger, or how we would actually get our pictures.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I'm sure you remember anybody who grew up in the Hazlet area, Bayshore area, or whatever. The little photo booth that used to be over
Yeah,
on Highway 35.
Photomat.
And it was like literally you drove up to it, you dropped picked it up, and you're always like, where the hell does that guy go to the bathroom? Like, what does he do? Like, is he always, because there was only really room for one person that worked
Yeah.
in it.
Which
And it was just like, oh man, does he crouch down and eat? Like, what does he do all day?
well, and that was also the funny part is like, and later knowing the way that, if you dropped off photos at like a grocery store or at a like a pharmacy, or if you dropped them off at like a department store, there was somebody that came every day to get what they called the pouch, and they would take that to whatever local photo developing center or whoever had the license to run that, almost like a vendorship, and they would come back in a day or two to that location and drop off all the photo packets that they got and they had tickets from the place that they have the contract with. So I think I think that was the same deal with like Photomat. I don't think that they were like developing all of the photos in that little booth. It was just a place for you to drive. It was a drive-through basically to like go, hey, here's my roll of film. Here's my name. Here you take your ticket. You come back tomorrow, or you come back in an hour. Maybe some of them did have developing capabilities, and you just fed it in and did it. But yeah, I mean, maybe kind of build out another like 20 or 30 like square feet in that place, and you could probably fit a little turlet in there, or a little hot plate situation. Let the guy live his life while he's developing my 1 hour photos.
A hot plate, like he's got a hibachi in there or something.
I mean, come on,
like he's cooking brats on like he's tailgating or something.
But that's it's funny that you mention. Again, like the Polaroid. The Polaroid I thought was one of the most fun things. Like we had a Polaroid camera growing up. I thought that was one of the most fun things to like get a chance to play with. Like you fed the cartridge in and you took your 20 photos. But I think to me, the real big jump in that technology was when disposable cameras came out. Right. And it was a jump in convenience and not necessarily technology, because it's not like you're saying like, all right, well, I'm handing you like a nice like 35 millimeter camera with a lens, and you're going to be able to like, use this only for a day and then dispose of it. It becomes, okay, you've got this little like plastic based camera, right? There's no zoom, there's no real focus. It's basically like you're able to like, scroll, snap your photos fast, and then when you're done with that, you put that in the bag and you send that to get the photos developed. So for convenience, it was great. The photos were all pretty much streaky and shit, and there was no real way of cleaning them up afterwards. So, but I did think that was like a nice little kind of tick towards the common man being able to say like, well, I can take a photo anywhere. All I have to do is go and pay like, $10 or $15 for a, disposable camera. And, here we are, we're going to have fun with it. Then we go with digital.
I think at my wedding, I think we were those type of people that we bought disposable cameras and put one at the table.
Yeah.
We were those people that decided to do that. So.
Well, I mean, of the time, like it's, like you can't go wrong with that, because then again, they have to either, those people are going to show you their photos from your wedding, or, you say like, hey, let's have a day where we collect them and we'll take the best ones and put them in our photo album and stuff like that. So yeah, it's instant sharing before social media, right? It's photo albums.
Those things were almost heavier than typewriters.
Yeah. I know. I've leafed through a few of them in the last year. So it's it kind of takes you back when you're saying like, all right, let's crack open this photo album, and this big Hinge page goes over. But then we got to digital cameras, which made things a whole lot easier. And I think like even the early digital cameras, you still had a memory card, and you still had to put the memory card either into your own computer or drop it off at a photo development place to like extract them. And people still like to print them out at that time, even with digital cameras. So what really threw the photography industry on its ear was being able to say, well, I have Facebook, or I have MySpace, and here's all the photos that I took with my digital camera or my, rudimentary not smartphone, my camera phone. And now I can just load them up, just connect a wire and load them up to my laptop and put them on my social media page. So now I don't need that photo album. I don't need a cork board to display them or collage them or anything like that. I can create that for myself. So it very quickly, like as fast as those disposable cameras and the small digital cameras came into vogue, they were immediately, all right, now we've got a place to put all this stuff. And the developers of the technology were smart enough to say, well, if we can improve the phone technology, and we're going to use all of these chips to make them computers, basically walking around computers, I have all my photos that I need right here on my phone. And I could put them up on a social media page or whatever I want to do with them. They're on my laptop, whatever it is. That kind of takes it kind of steals the nostalgia to a certain extent, and it makes it confined to your hand device. But yeah, I mean, I always enjoyed playing around with a Polaroid or playing around with those, again, the small Kodak cameras and disposable. So yeah, they were a lot of fun. I missed them.
Speaking of digital cameras, I had the one where it was a digital camera, and then you could dock it and actually print out like the 3x5s or whatever.
Yeah.
So if somebody had come by especially early on when the kids were younger, if somebody had come by, it'd be like, oh, wait a minute, by the way, before you leave,
let me print this out.
These photos of let me print this out or whatever, which was kind of convenient, right?
Yeah.
But as I guess one of the themes is, you think about stuff like we got that, and at the time when we bought one of those, it was like, oh, this is really cool. And I swear within 3 months it was already obsolete.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like, oh, you could go to Shutterfly and then you could just send it to someone. It was just like,
yeah.
All right, that was a really cool 3 months. Like, glad we spent $100 and something on that. That was great.
Right. Yeah.
Now, did you guys have growing up? Were you like a camcorder family? Did you guys
no
do a lot of home movies and stuff? Or?
No. Always like, and that's the thing is like when friends of mine, I knew they had a video camera. Like that was the best thing in the world, because it was like, all right, can we take the camera and like shoot stuff with it, or can we play around with it? Like, can we take it on vacation? Like, when we go to this like concert or whatever? Like, so I always was interested in using one, but never owned one or never had one in the family. I have a few family members that like had them, but it wasn't the type of thing they're like bringing out for a long time during a family get together, because it's like, holy shit, like look at the amount of people that are here, and this is going to get broken, it's going to get lost, something's going to get messed up. And it was usually like, hey, let's do this for like if we're singing happy birthday, or like we're just getting some video footage of grandpa doing this or whatever. So like they were sort of like brief in and outs, but no, didn't have one. I also think like, see, that's a side of technology that I don't know if my father would have taken to and figured out all that much. Guy could figure out a VCR, but like he did get a little bit frustrated with like cameras and loading film and things and whatnot. So I think like a video camera probably would have been like a little bit unwieldy and a little bit like foreign to him. So I think that's probably why we were a non-camera family. What was the Corby family, a video camera team?
My parents, I think, got one very later on. Obviously, it was for the grandkids and not the kids. We got one early on for Ashley. By the time Jake, I think it was already. Oh, you could do the same thing with a digital camera. You don't really need a camcorder anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I do remember there was one family in St. Anne's who had like the old style like giant box like that used to go on
with
your
the shoulder pad. Yeah.
But you could set it up with a tripod, and that lady I like videotaped every like Christmas play at school. St. Anne's used to do the Passion Play, the CYO.
Yeah.
The teenagers. So it was one of those things where like everyone knew who the lady was, and it was one of those things where it's like, oh, if you give her a blank cassette, a blank VHS tape, she'll copy it for you.
Yeah.
But the problem was so many people would ask her that, and she was like the only one. Like it was weird. It wasn't. I think she had cornered the market for about, I don't know, a good like 5-6 years.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things where it was like, oh, if you asked her for a copy of the Christmas play, because maybe that was like the year my sister actually got a speaking part, or I got a speaking part in or like when it came to the Passion Play, both my brother and my sister had speaking parts or whatever. Like, so if you asked for a copy of the Christmas play, you probably got the Christmas play by Easter. And then for the Passion Play, you probably got that by the end of the school year. So it was really weird. Like somebody would come home and be like, I really wish I can remember the lady's name, but Mrs. Smith gave us, here we got so it'd be like the middle of April, and we would be watching.
You're watching a Christmas play.
We're watching the Christmas play, and it was just like, oh, okay, like
yeah, memories.
It was almost to the point where you see that kid, yeah, he already left school.
Yeah, seriously,
like, he's not coming back. But I think my dad kind of got one. It was the where you had to put the little mini tapes into the recorder, and then you had to buy the converter.
Of course, yeah.
To play it in a VCR. So, and then we had kind of like the one that had a screen on it, and then
I like that.
You could move the thing by hand.
Oh, okay.
So it was almost like, which eventually would everyone. I mean, now people record movies on iPad, so it wasn't all that much different. You were looking at a screen as you're recording.
Yeah, it's side screen,
and then you were just kind of moving the thing up and down or whatever. And if you had to turn, you turned your body. So,
wow.
No, never made any before anyone. I know what everyone's thinking. No, believe it or not, I did not make home sex tapes.
Come on, nobody was thinking that. The people that listen to us,
everyone was thinking that.
The people that listen to us seem to be wholesome people. They don't write dirty stuff in the comments. If somebody puts that in the comments section, then I would have addressed it. I think you're jumping conclusions with your. I think your mind is dirty.
Maybe I made movies under the name Michael Raven.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, all right.
All right. Moving on. Uh, you were mentioning phones. One of the things, obviously, now is like a rarity is for somebody to actually have a landline telephone.
Mm.
Just recently, within the past year, finally got rid of ours because I don't know why we were. I think we had it for the notices from school.
From school, yeah, yeah.
You know, if there was closures or whatever, I think we still kept it for that reason, just in case if the here. Honestly, I don't know why we kept it for as long as we did because we used to get text messages and then we used to get a call on our cell phone. So,
Well, and,
but we have finally within the last year become a landline free family. So that was a major breakthrough.
here's the thing about it, and not to kind of jump in before you actually talk about the physical technology of the landline. I think there are states throughout the throughout the United States. I'm stumbling over the word United States for some reason, but parts of our country, there's requirements that you have, and especially if you have kids in certain levels of school, they require it because they need it as an emergency contact. No matter what, like if there's a disaster at the school or something wrong, like they just need to know that there's a way to, get or try to get in contact. It's the first line of contact. Also, up until probably about 10 years ago, there were restrictions on calling 911 from anything but a hardline or a landline telephone. So you couldn't get 911 response in. I think it rolled out now. It's throughout the whole U.S., but in certain areas it was tough to get 911 to recognize cell phones because obviously, they didn't want to, or they were kind of whispery about the amount of access they had to your real locations and your physical location, wherever it may be. And now it's basically, well, all gloves are off because, everybody knows they're tracking you at all times. But 911 was always basically and that would be the case. Like, hey, just have a landline. Just make sure you can make an emergency call. And all landlines had that capability to make the emergency call outs and also to get incoming calls. So if somebody somebody else had your number, they could call you on your landline no matter what. And I worked for a phone company for a few years, so I do know the ins and outs of the reasons why we were always, when people wanted to cut the cord and say well, all I have is cell phones, why would I want a landline? That was always the one big argument. Like, hey, just so you know, this part of New Jersey requires that if you need to make 911 calls. And there would be a lot of people who'd say, well, I don't intend on getting into any accidents or having any issues at my house that I would need to call 911, which you always laugh at that. And it's like, oh, okay, when you least expect it, bam, you're going to need it. But the actual physical phones, and I'm sure that's probably what you're going to pivot to next, is that's a whole different topic of the evolution of the phones themselves. At least through our years.
Well, I believe it's funny because a lot of people still refer to them as cell phones, but they're really not cell phones. Mobile phones, or I think the term I liked was my first, I guess, cell phone or whatever you want was a dumb phone. I had an Ericsson.
Okay.
And it was pretty dumb, but all it was for was to receive and make phone calls. You didn't text. You could set up a voicemail on it.
Yeah.
But it was one of those you had to dial a certain number.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, here you just hit the little button on the thing or whatever, and it goes to your. It was like you had to call a number. Then you had to enter in your box number.
Yep.
And then of course it was like a pin or something. It was like actually retrieving your voicemail messages where
it was
a pain in the ass.
It was like getting into your vault at the bank.
But yeah, I remember I had a Blackstone Lumber required that I had a cell phone, and yeah, I had the Ericsson that had the permanent uh, antenna on it, so that always stuck out of your pocket. It was always kind of annoying.
Okay, right.
Um, but
It wasn't it wasn't a
it did.
telescopic antenna, was it, that you could pull out or flip out?
No, no,
Okay,
it was like it was
that
about
little
maybe
nub boy.
yeah, it was about like 3 or 4 inches. So it wasn't really annoying, but it could get caught on shit like if you're at a job site,
Hmm.
which it did many a time. But yeah, I mean, it was, with the evolution of landlines, different phones and stuff. Um, you know, I remember getting our first answering machine
Hmm.
at the house so that
Yeah,
you could actually leave messages.
of course.
Um, and of course, all the different things that you could do with an answering machine. Everyone kind of got a little creative with their outgoing message.
I certainly
Um,
did. I went through a lot of micro cassette tapes, just like thinking of different outgoing messages. And I had an outgoing message once that was like about 3 minutes long, which was basically like a whole song, and me just like talking at the end of it. So you called me, and it's like, well, you're listening to like this whole song that I wanted to play, and then it's like, all right, leave a message, and then or I would do a voice or whatever. So yeah, I mean that was a lot of customization that went into setting up your answering
yeah.
machine.
When you use GNRs as strange, and I had to wait 6 minutes, that was a little
And that's only
obnoxious,
one
honestly.
guitar solo too. Um,
I have to say I thought I was the first person to invent the doing the whole hello,
mhm.
it's you. Oh man, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
and someone would sit there and they'd be like, screw you. This is my
Beep.
answer
Yeah.
machine. Beep.
But that was
Like I was the first person that thought of it.
oh no, listen, it's improv comedy at its best. But yeah, the old answering machines, the old, the corded phones or cordless phone, went through a lot of cordless phones because like some of them, you couldn't like talk in the house because like you couldn't be a certain amount away from the range of the base, and it was sort of like, well, I can't talk in the driveway, and I know I have to like grab something out of my car, like I'm gonna have to call you back when I'm back inside or
We
whatever it was. So
we had one that if my mom used a microwave, it would interfere with the cell phone or not with the cordless phone,
yeah,
and it'd be like,
yeah.
hold on a minute, I gotta call you back in a minute and 30 seconds when she's done heating up her food or whatever the hell it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. Well, they would interfere with the if somebody was like getting on the computer and you were using dial up, you would hear them like trying to like and you'd get
Yeah.
those sound effects, and it's like you'd yell up the stairs like, I'm on the telephone. Wait for 5 minutes. So yeah, I mean there was a lot of challenges. Here's the one thing I will say, and again, like I'll get into cell phones, the actual like cell phones themselves in a minute, but I actually kind of miss not having, and I'm sure like anybody could like say, oh, I'm just going to be off the grid and like not carry my phone on me for like a day or 2 days. You're full of shit. Nobody can like, you can silence it while you're at work. You can silence it for a few hours, but we've all become accustomed to checking that phone and having it there, reading texts or reading emails or messages coming from a million different ways. So I do what I miss about it. I love the convenience of having the phone in my pocket or on me at all times or next to me at all times. But I do kind of miss like the days where you would be like, all right, I'm like out for the day. My answering machine is on. If anybody needs to get a hold of me, they can call and leave a message. But I'm also going to see most of the people in person that I'm going to have to interact with. So, who's calling me, right? Like if everybody that I know is here, who's calling me, who needs to get in touch with me. So, I do miss those days where you could just like, all right, I've made my plans. I'm out the door. Everything's cool. Don't have to worry about it. I'll get my messages when I get home, and that's it. So, I'm again a little bit of two minds
The
about
delight
it.
of the delight of when you were out and you came home and your answer machine was flashing. You're like,
Yeah.
oh wow, like there were other people that really
Oh.
wanted to be in my presence tonight, and they left messages. Oh,
Oh, somebody cares.
did you have a pager?
No, no, I'm not that important. I did. I knew people that had pagers, and I had a girlfriend that had a pager, and that stunk. That was the worst. Trying to get somebody to call you back, like you beep them, and then it's like basically you send them the page right from your landline, and you would sit there and you would be like, how come she's not calling me back right now? Or how come this guy's taking so long getting back to me? You know, I told him that I was going to beep him at 2:00. Like, what's going on? Like, I'm waiting forever for this. Like, so I never saw the need to have a pager. It wasn't attractive to me. That was the type of thing where, again, I think I had an independent spirit in mind where it was like, everybody that I think I want to see, I will see today or interact with. And if I don't, they can leave me a message. I don't need a pager to like get in touch with me. So yeah, I shun the pager.
Not to get old Nathan R. Johnson on everybody, but I kind of do miss the phone book. I kind of miss like that whole like.
Oh, it's the hunt. The hunt for the number.
Yeah, trying to or like remember. I used to really like for some reason when I was a kid we'd get the new phone book is here. The new phone. There used to be in between the yellow and white pages, there is a thing of like the stadium seating.
Oh shit, yeah. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely
So
right.
so like if you got tickets or whatever, you know, if it was like, oh, we're going to a Met game, and you would be like, oh, where are we sitting? And
Yep.
someone would be like, oh, I think like section 301 or
Grab
whatever.
the phone book. Let me show you.
Oh,
Oh.
dude, that's like right behind home plate.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool, or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Like, you know, obviously, if you've been to the place after a while enough, you kind of knew.
Yeah.
But like, oh, you know, oh, that section's really good for basketball, but it's not really, you know, that's not a section for a hockey game or whatever it was. But that part of it, I do miss, or like.
It would list parks. It would list like stuff that you could go to, recreational things that you could like, you know. And there would always be like new listings. You know, when phone books came out like twice a year, right?
I think, yeah, I think at least once a year. I know that much.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was 2 times.
I'm trying to.
But
think
like it
there
was
were
one
2
of those
times a
things
year.
where it was like, oh, like I kind of remember like when I was thinking before I first bought my first guitar, going into the yellow pages and like, okay, what music store, like,
Yeah.
and I'm like looking to see like, oh, I didn't even know there was a music store in Airport Plaza. Like maybe I should check that out,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
that type of stuff. But now everything is, oh, just do a Google search and
Right.
just put in, you know, music instruments in your area.
Yeah,
and
or
find
you
it,
have,
whatever.
you know, an app to like, you know, help you like navigate to the place that you need to go to. So yeah, shortcuts are so much easier now. But like, yeah, there was a certain like, there was a fun in the search, and you're right. Like going through the business part of the yellow of the white pages, I should say, and basically saying like, all right, well, you know, you said guitar shops. I think of like, you know, whether they were video game stores or like record stores or like rental places, whatever it was. Like there was that, like, it was fun, like searching for those things and saying like, all right, I know the ones in my area, but especially when I had a driver's license, it's like, what if I drove and I got, you know, I got on the road and like I wanted to go to another place. Let me look at the ones that are like within driving distance, right? And you would look those up and say like, all right, when I have a chance, I'm going here, 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 and here, you know? So yeah, I mean, that was kind of like, it was a cool way of like planning your adventures out too. So pro phone book.
Plus, I'm sure my family were thoroughly entertained every year when the new phone book I would reenact the scene from The Jerk and just start going,
Mm-hmm.
"The new phone book is here. The new phone book is here." I'm sure every year that I did that, it never got old for them.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
That's a
when I
good
would
bit.
open up the white pages and I would go, "Horby, Michael A. I'm gonna be somebody."
Yep.
Never got old. I'm
No.
sure it never got old.
Oh, it's a great bit.
So
It's a great bit.
moving from the yellow page, let your fingers do the walking from the yellow pages.
Yeah.
Want to get into I guess what you can consider media or entertainment
Okay.
parts of technology that might have changed or whatever. Um, Look, I know it's made a huge comeback within the past 5-10 years. I kind of remember the end of vinyl. Like I know people who had, like my brother still had vinyl records.
Yeah.
And I kind of remember being very young and him listening to them. But really for me, like the cassette was kind of like my intro to music.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like probably, my first whatever album or whatever that I got was on cassette.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
And it wasn't until probably my junior or senior year that I got a CD player and started converting to CDs. So for me, like the Walkman,
that was key. Yeah.
that was, making mixtapes with cassettes. I mean, that was, or taping music off of
the
Z100
radio.
or off the radio because you were too cheap to go out and actually buy the,
Right. Yeah.
that type of stuff. So that was my form to like, probably before I had anything else as far as like VHS or whatever, cassettes was my intro to, I guess, escaping
Physical media, more or less.
physical media. But like, yeah, that was like my first.
Yeah,
like,
your entertainment
when
was
I wanted
wrapped up in that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I think I was probably, before I got my own Walkman, I think I had some sort of like cassette player, and that you could hook up your headphone to it, but it was probably, it was, it's probably built maybe for kids or whatever, but that was probably my first, and then either borrowing somebody's cassette or, whatever I had of my own, but that was like my first, the drug world would say like that was your taste. That was your that was my first beginning of the habits of
your foray. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
So very similar, but everything, like at a certain point, and I think it's funny that you brought up the Walkman, because the Walkman really gave you independence, right? From what I remember. And I think I probably had my first cassette in like 3rd grade, 4th grade, something like that. So, but like you would have like, I had like a tape recorder at home that you could listen to it through the tape recorder, right? So I didn't get a Walkman until a couple of years after that, probably like 6th grade or something. But you would have that, or you would have, my dad had a tape deck in his car, so you could like put the tape in the car, or there were these sort of like mini versions of boom boxes that started to pop up that people could buy, and that you would bring that to like, if you're on vacation, you bring that out to like, the table outside, and you'd sit and you'd listen to music that way. I think the Walkman was just basically, that was so portability was big, right? Hey, I want to be able to play. I'm just not going to sit and put that in the stereo that's in the house and listen to it there with headphones on like a weirdo just staring forward. I'm going to now I want portability, right? So it was always a chase for portability. Then you got the Walkman, and I was like, holy crap, like portability is now I'm independent. Now I've got my own headset that I have it hooked up to. I could turn it up as loud or as low as possible or whatever it was. And that was, for me especially, that was like fun for a couple years. And you're right with the mixtapes. What I kind of miss is So there was that home stereo, or not even a home stereo, like the home stereo system, like your parents had, definitely everybody's parents had a home stereo system. So whether that was just like an AM FM radio that was hooked up to a couple speakers, or it was a vinyl record player with maybe a cassette tape. Eventually it became a CD player that was built into it. Remember, CD players were like, they're almost like DVD players would become. So they were a little bit big. They weren't small and compact until they developed the Discman in the late 80s. But everybody that had CDs, they were sort of confined to your home stereo. So I was very lucky to get a CD player that could hook into the stereo that I had in my room, that was like a dual cassette, AM FM, turntable on the top, and then I could hook through my auxiliary port, I could hook up the CD player once I got that, when I was like, again, like a freshman or a sophomore in high school. I got that and started to go towards CDs, but I didn't have a Discman. I didn't have a Discman until much, much later. So I was basically like, every CD that I had a copy of it on cassette. I made my own copies of it just so I could like bring it along in my car or put it in my Walkman if I wanted to be as independent as possible. So it really as the technology kind of got smaller and smaller, or the vessel, I should say, for the technology got smaller, that independent portability became more important. And I think once people realized, hey, the sound on the CD is the best possible sound we could have, then you have so I finally got a Discman, but I only got a Discman. I didn't have a Discman to walk around with it. I had a Discman so I could use it in my car. So I didn't have to make a second cassette. I didn't have to buy a whole bunch of blank tapes and make copies of all of the CDs that I had started to buy. And I was still buying stuff on cassette until probably the late 90s, because I liked the cassette player in my car. But to just get back to it, just the way that we evolved the technology on cassette, from vinyl to CD, I should say from vinyl to cassette to CD, and then to MP3, is all in a stretch of 30 years?
Yeah, even less, maybe.
Maybe 25. Think about how much that technology, I hate to say it, it's kind of stalled. And that's why people go back to vinyl, and they become collectors, because they like the physical media. So right. If you take that same 25-year stretch going back to the year 2000, cassette was obsolete, or cassette was really on its way out, and vinyl didn't have its resurgence until maybe 10 years later. CD was the predominant one. MP3 started to, and you saw this this burst of people or companies that were making MP3 players, all varying sizes. The smaller the better. The iPod, all of those vessels for listening to music through a bought or a downloaded MP3. So it really only pivoted from CDs to MP3s to digital, and that was basically cut off by 2010. Everybody figured the thing you need to do is just download this app on your phone, subscribe to this streaming service, and you're off to, or buy the music from your streaming service and do it that way. So to see how much it pivoted in the 25 years prior, or the 30 years prior, is such a there was more ingenuity, is what I'm saying. We stopped evolving it by 2010, and it's been another 15 years of just the same old, because people are complacent. And they don't necessarily, or they're backtrackers, and they're saying I miss cassettes, or I'm nostalgic for this, and this is why I want to buy it. So it's very interesting, and I think we were, our generation, old Gen Xers, were the ingenuity ones on that one. So
it's funny, my parents had the basic, almost like an expansive boombox where it had the dual cassettes. It had a radio, and then eventually I think they upgraded when you used to be able to. The CD player was on the top part of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My brother was the first one to have. He had the little cabinet with the like the 3-foot speaker on each side.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the cabinet, he originally got a tuner for the radio, which you used to have to run the wire.
Yeah, that little piddly wire.
And thumbtack it up to your wall so you could get a signal.
A good AM FM signal, right?
He had then the second, or no, I'm sorry, the top part, because the top part came up. That's where the record player was. Then it was the tuner. Then he went out and bought the dual cassette, because then he started taping vinyl onto his cassette player so he could play it in his car.
Smart.
Then he went and got the component for the CD player, and then that's where he kind of that's where it stopped. I'd have to ask him. I think he still has that.
Really?
Somewhere in his house.
Huh.
He might. He might. If he doesn't have it, it wasn't that long ago that he got rid of it. But that was like the cool thing to do, was to buy piece by piece as technology came out. And then he had the little glass part that had the magnet, and you would hit it you would hit it in to kind of close it, and then
double
hit
tap
out,
it,
and then the door would swing out. I always looked at it. You're talking about how the Walkman brought you independence or whatever. For me, it was almost like sitting in front of the stereo was like I'm in the studio.
Oh,
because that's when
your little Pat St. John almost.
That's where I'm making the mixtape that I'm gonna put in the cassette players that I'm gonna listen to when I'm on the bus in high school, and I don't want to listen to Z100 or the whatever the hell they're playing in the. And plus, there was a time where if you were sitting on a bus and you had headphones on, people usually left you alone.
That's.
Plus, when I played, I did play sports for, soccer team or whatever. When we had long bus rides for games and stuff, you would bring your cassette player, and you would just sit there and kind of. But yeah, that was kind of like my what are you doing tomorrow? Oh, I got to make time. I got to make studio time. I got to make
I got to mix.
I'm getting I've kind of worn this one out. I got to pick some new songs and blah blah blah. I will say I wasn't I embraced the CD really quickly because it was kind of I got annoyed with cassettes, and not so much because it was always because you had to fast forward to try to and time it right,
time it correctly.
Yep. So I loved the CD part of just skipping from one song to the next, but I would say, as much as I had fun making mixtapes, I enjoyed burning CDs. That was
a lot more fun. You
could make your own playlist and burn it onto a CD and listen to it, or me, you, and George making year-end.
Yeah, I know.
We went from making year-end mixtapes to mix CDs and stuff. I do kind of miss that. I don't have anything my laptop doesn't have a burner on it or anything anymore.
No.
So then I don't even know how the hell I would make one even if I wanted to. But
that's what a Spotify playlist is for these days.
Yeah. Oh, I'll share my playlist with you, or I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I do. I will say I embrace the streaming a little bit more than I did satellite radio or any of that, because it's still you still weren't. Oh yeah, I could easily choose the top, or the I'll listen to the rock station or I'll listen to punk station, but you still couldn't determine what songs you wanted to listen to. You were still at the mercy of somebody else. But
and the last thing I'll say about streaming, and not to put over Spotify, but they're a great partner of ours, by the way. You can find the Captain Madden show every week on Spotify. But the thing that I like about it does appeal to like the mixtape makers of the past, where you're like, I have an idea. Here's the concept I want to do. I'm going to create my playlist, especially during the
Right.
summertime. It's like I'm going on vacation. It's a long car ride. I need a playlist specific to it. Like I'm going to set time aside, and I could get lost in the sauce, and like I could have like 20 songs in mind, and it's like, oh, this is a good like hour long playlist. I can knock it out of the park. I guarantee by the time I get to that like 20th song, there's a million suggestion, and then you're down a different rabbit hole, and that 1 hour playlist becomes a 4 hour playlist in no time. And it's like you couldn't do that with, and that was you were sort of at the mercy of doing a lot of self-editing when it comes to the mixtapes, because you only had like maybe at tops you had 120 minutes, 60 on each side, but I think it made you force you to be a little bit more specific about what you wanted to put in a mixtape. But nowadays it's like, well, the bloom is off the rose. This is more wide open, and now I've got a bigger space for creativity. The reason why I want to put a cap on this one is this is going to be part of a future episode about like the changes to the record industry, and we will deep dive a lot more into how the changes in media began to cannibalize the industry as a whole and limit a lot of the artists' reach and capability of building a loyal audience. So that's where I will kind of walk away from the the musical physical media.
So if you're going to go, there's a yang to every yin or yin to every yang. Mm-hmm. Obviously, going from music to movies.
Yeah.
My intro was obviously VHS tapes.
Sure.
My old man was very big. We were. This is about as cool as we ever got in my family. We were probably the first people in our neighborhood to get cable.
Yeah.
And we had HBO, so my dad became very big at taping movies off of HBO. And then having them to like, when he learned how to set the timer, shit. Like that was game on. That was like, because you used to get the little cable guide and it would tell you like what time everything was on for the month, and he would be like, I ain't staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning though. But wait a minute, I don't have to anymore. Like, and
you can set that tape. As long as you didn't have a power outage, you're good.
He was a carpenter, so of course he made his own cabinet, and it had all the blank tapes, and he all had it labeled.
Everything labeled,
but I remember, I think the first VHS that was actually mine that somebody got me was the Karate Kid. I had the Karate Kid. Yeah. But we were before even with having HBO and my dad becoming the Martin Scorsese of taping things off of.
Well, he's more of the who's the guy on Turner Classic Movies? Ben Mankiewicz. He's more the Ben Mankiewicz of the early '80s. He's creating an unprecedented film library.
It was. I couldn't believe when he threw all them out. I was just like, oh
dude.
Hours.
Porky's 2 is on there.
He had, I think he set it so that he had Porky's 2, and Porky's 3 all on one cassette.
That's tremendous.
You could set it to how long, whatever, at the time. But we were a big. We joined soon after we bought our first VCR player. Mm-hmm. In town was J&J Video Zone.
Oh,
it was the first.
That's a great name.
That was the first place you could go to rent VHS tapes in town. And we had a membership, and we knew the owner, and that was always a cool thing, especially like either for a weekend or the best thing was when you knew it was going to snow. It was like my mom would go food shopping, and me and my dad would go to
To
the
the video
video
store
place
and just get
to
a
make
bunch of
sure we
shit.
had, even though we had cable,
Yeah, yeah.
like we still had to get down. It was like, all right, like, like the best thing would be, because they used to have like 1 day rental, 2 days, and 3 days.
Mm.
It was like, well, might as well try to find some 2 or 3 day rentals, because you never
You're
know
gonna get
how
snowed
long
in.
we're going to be in. You get snowed in. Um, but the VHS obviously eventually went away. I think I was in my, I I know I had moved out of my house, so I was probably in my early 20s
Mm.
when I got my first DVD player.
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
So that was when I actually got. Blockbuster was kind of big already when VHS was out,
Right.
but I actually didn't get my own Blockbuster video card or whatever, or rental thing, until DVDs, because in the beginning it was kind of like DVDs were probably around $20. So if you wanted to, like, it was a little bit easier to go and rent like 4 of them for $20 rather than buy 5 movies that would
True.
cost you $100.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
eventually prices of DVDs kind of came down, and then old movies you could get 5 of them for $20
Yeah.
or
Exactly.
whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know I kind of remember like going in to rent something or buy it and being like, well, do you want it normal or in letterbox? And you'd be like, what the hell? And like,
Now we're
all
fancy.
right, if you want to look, if you wanted to have it look like it does in the movie theater, then and people would be like, oh, I hate that, because that means that you got
Yeah,
the black
right,
bars
yeah.
on top. And you'd have to explain to people, like, there's no black bars.
You
It's just
format your television.
you format your TV. So yeah, being a movie guy, like, I couldn't really afford cable when I first moved out. Eventually,
Okay.
I got it. But,
Yeah. Yeah.
having VHS tapes and a DVD player, because was, I mean, there's a reason why I recite
Yeah.
lines from movies religiously. It's probably because when there was nothing to do, you popped in a VHS,
Dug out a
you popped in
VHS.
DVD.
It was a
Hey,
home recording.
let's watch Swingers for the 150th time, because it's still funny.
So here's my journey through VHS and DVD. Around here, it wasn't like a lot of video. Eventually, there was a lot of video rental places, and you couldn't throw a rock to like the next corner that didn't have one. But when we first kind of caught the bug, let's say it was like 83 or 84, there was an Atlantic Video that was in Airport Plaza. That was like I think there were like Atlantic Video and TV. IEI was in the corner. That was the big electronics place. But this was you could rent TVs from Atlantic. You could rent VCRs, and you could rent movies. So my dad's big thing was like, before he bought a VCR, he wanted to rent it, because I guess in his brain, like, all right, if you rent it for the weekend, then just get a bunch of movies. Because we had HBO, and his logic was, well, I can watch anything on HBO that I want to. I just want to see new release movies, or something specific, like I know something on video cassette that I want to watch, rather than I know I'm not going to be able to get it on TV. I have to get it through different means. So for a while there, we rented a VCR, and then that got a little bit stupid and expensive. So we bought a VCR I think we bought it from Atlantic Video, or if not there, then Sears. And I remember it was a Saturday that my dad was picking it up. I had a basketball game in the afternoon on that Saturday, and all I could think about, because he told me, he was like, all right, when you get home from the basketball game, I think I'll have the VCR here, and we'll set it up and get everything going. And all I could think about was, this game cannot end fast enough, because I need to get back home, because there's a VCR that's going to be there. He's not at the game because he's setting the VCR. He's going to set the VCR up. He's buying it right now. So a little bit of a, oh, that's cool, Dad. That's fine. Just miss my game. I can't wait for the VCR to be there when I get home, and we can, we're going to be able to watch movies, and it's our VCR. I think that VCR, he put it on top of the television. And in the television itself, we're not talking like flat screen TVs, kids. Like, these were fat body, giant ass TVs in cabinets, in big home entertainment centers. I think we still have the home entertainment center or a version of that home entertainment center from like back in the 80s. But so he had the VCR on top of the TV, but there was a little bit of a gap behind it. It was shortly into us owning the VCR when, and my sister was very very small. She was probably like, let's say 5 or maybe 5 years old. And that was one of the big reasons to get the VCR too. It's like you could rent videotapes and she could watch them instead of like, trying to help her figure out like what, channels to change and potentially like messing up the TV doing it that way. It was, well, we'll get the VCR and she'll have tapes to watch, and that's a good source of entertainment. So, I think she figured out pretty quickly like how it was that we were taking the tapes out. And also, like, if you remember, like those old VCRs, like some of them we had a remote, but the remote, like the range of the remote wasn't that great. So like we never used it. Like if you wanted to like fast forward or stop a tape or hit play or whatever, like you had to go up and like walk up to the thing and press the button. This was so primitive at the time. So I think she like figured that out and like hit the stop and pushed the thing, and it fell to the back, like fell off the top of the TV all the way to the back. So then that's got to go in to get repaired because like it messed up the whole inner workings of it was messed up. So that was like within like 3 months of us having it, it's already in its first repair, and it's like this thing. And even my dad was like, this thing might be not worth it to get back and fix. And I was like, no, the VCR is the best thing in this house. Like, I don't get refrigerator is one thing, but the VCR, like VCR is very important. But eventually that was like, he would get like the big stacks of like video cassettes, and he would have a few for movies. He would have like 1 or 2 for my sister for her shows that like, that they wanted to tape for her. My brother got like a few videotapes, and then I had a few videotapes that I could tape like wrestling on, or I could tape, TV shows that I liked or watched. And then it's like, hey, you can watch them anytime you want. That pivoted into, so Atlantic Video stopped doing rentals. I think they sold the rental business to someplace else that did them. And then like 4 video stores like popped up in like 1986 and 1987. Like 4 video stores in the area popped up. We could walk to Hometown Video that was like across the street. We could go to Video was the big one that was over right now where the ShopRite is in Hazlitt, off of 35. Hometown Video eventually popped up when they built the shopping center that had Quick Check in it. So it was like all of a sudden it's like there's 3 different ones. You're getting memberships for all of them. Sometimes they're calling the house saying, hey, you got to bring back like Indiana. You had Indiana Jones out for the longer than 3 days. You got to get them back, or we're going to charge you. And that was the big thing. If they said they're going to charge you, they're charging you market value. So they're going to charge you $100 for the video cassette. Because there wasn't like the VHS, the price on VHS didn't come down until almost like the mid 90s. So
well, that's why renting video, because
that was the business. Yeah.
My uncle had one of the first VHS or VCRs. I want to say it was probably close to $1,000.
Yeah, they were.
Get one.
They
were really expensive. And it was the one where it popped out of the top.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You didn't slide it in like.
Oh, so it was a Betamax.
The thing popped out of the top, and you put the VHS in, and then you close the lid, and then you hit play.
Yeah.
But like that was the thing. Like he had one, but like the movies were like they were between $90 and $100.
Yeah.
So it was like, yeah, he bought it, and then he had to like wait a while, and like I remember it was some sort of Disney movie. I might have been Fantasia or something like that, Cinderella or whatever. that was like the first like I remember all of us going over to watch it because it was like, oh wow, you don't have to go to the movie theater to see a movie. Like you could just now watch it in your own house, whenever you want it to.
Yeah, sure.
And but that was the thing. Like that's one. I think my old man. I'm sure he waited till VCRs were a little bit affordable,
Yeah, yeah.
and then the whole thing with like, oh, you could just go and rent them and stuff. Where I think like I think like new releases, I think might have been $1.99 or $2.99 or so, but like you could rent a movie for $1
And that was
rather than.
also the thing that they drove business in there, because the way that the movie industry was set up, you had your movie came out. Let's say your movie comes out August 1st, in theaters August 1st. It would have 3 months window to be in the theaters. Then after that 3 months, it unlocks its period to be available on rental on video cassette or purchase on video cassette. And that had a window of, let's say that had 3 months. So then 6 months after it's out in the movies, 6 months later, it's going to be on pay cable. So it could be on HBO, Showtime, the movie channel, Cinemax. Then a full calendar year after it was out, then the networks could get, or syndication could get their hands on it. So that was really where the rental business became the sweet spot, because it's like, well, all right, if something came out, let's say it came out on June 1st, by the end of the summer into the fall, like the beginning of that fall season, you could rent out on video cassette. So that was really like that open window. So the rental stores and the rental business was basically driven by, hey, who's got the most, and that's why Blockbuster took off in a lot of these cities and a lot of these areas, because Blockbuster had the budget, because they were a chain rather than a mom and pop shop. They were a chain that said, we're going to have the most copies of the new releases. And if you remember correctly, it was a night and day difference walking into a little video store, right? Your mom and pop video store, as compared to what you saw when you walked into a Blockbuster, where it's like, all right, well, there's basically like this, this 4x4, like, 7-foot wall or 6-foot wall of video cassettes that are available for rental. Here's what we have. And then there's a different section for sports. There's a different section for cartoons, whatever it is. But it was very small and confined. And then you walked into a Blockbuster and it's like, here's like a 30-foot wall of new releases, right? So they kind of ate up the mom and pop shops because they had more availability on that stuff. Plus, they were kind of pioneers in discounting the price of the video cassettes themselves, because once that 3-month window and a new set of movies, like they were constantly rolling through them, but once those movies that were new releases were hitting television, they were able to say, all right, well, we're gonna make this available for $29.95, and that was more affordable than $100 if you bought it from a catalog when it first came out on video cassette. So when the prices start to drop, and you have a lot of people who are like, well, I don't subscribe to cable, so I'm going to buy this movie. I love this movie. I'm going to buy this movie. They were buying the cassette tapes to have them, and everybody did. That became a huge industry, much like the music business. Everything just sort of got to a certain point. Netflix became the first one where you could get stuff sent to you in the mail. And you waited 2 days and you got the disc, and then you had the return envelope and you sealed it, you sent it right back. And I was like, this is great. This is so easy to do. Redbox, like there was a good period of time for 4 or 5 years where that was like the dominant, and that started to shutter all of the video stores, the Blockbusters included. And then it became digital, and then it became, everything is streamed now, and you have streaming services that are, charging you, varying degrees each month. So, technology fast forwarded itself in a heartbeat and ate up an industry that built itself. It took 20 years to build that industry. And then within 6 or 7 years, we had all moved on to something that was more convenient. So.
One of the things sometimes that doesn't get mentioned regarding, I guess, even, CDs or DVDs or Blu-ray or whatever it is like, if you were really into music or you're really into movies, like the storage part of it,
Mm.
like, we always laugh at like movies of, high fidelity or whatever, where like the dude's apartment was like filled with vinyl records
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
CDs and stuff like. But we know a lot of people that like were, that was kind of a thing, was to have a music room.
Oh
It was
yeah.
like,
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
or it was part of your man cave, was like, oh yeah, I have these,
Here's my
I have over
spinner.
I have
Yeah.
over I have over 5,000 CDs or whatever, or whatever the hell it was,
Yeah.
or people with boxes and boxes of like VHS or DVD and stuff, because they're big, big movie people. There is that convenience of like, oh well, now I don't know, I can use all this space for something else because I don't need
Or
to have.
I could throw these bookcases away.
Yeah. You had mentioned you had cable. Did you have the brown cable box that had the really annoying wire that went into the?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a funny thing when you talk about it, because
How many family members tripped over the wire?
yeah, you're
in your
tripping over the
house?
wire, or it was because we weren't a remote control house either, so everything was like run through this store cable box. So when you would get to prime time, depending on who was watching the show at the time, my dad wasn't going to sit on the floor and change the channels. So it would basically be like either me or my brother would be the person that's sitting there in the room, and it would be our responsibility. So we could take the cable box, the channel changer, like out of the entertainment center, run the wire, down, and we would have like a little, like a body pillow or something like that. And you would sort of like lie on the floor, and my dad would call out the commands. Okay, if we're watching Channel 7 at 8 o'clock, like, all right, just make sure the show starts. Okay, show started, blah, blah, blah. All right, they're in commercial. Go ahead go to the Mets. You'd flip or you'd press the buttons and move the toggle down to the whatever channel it was that the Mets were on. Usually it was 9, so it was easy. So you could go 7 to 9. Okay, you'd watch the Mets for a little while. In his mind, he's counting, the 40-second commercial that's going off on the network TV. So it's like, all right, flip it back, and you would flip it back, and you would be almost right in time to start the show, and then it's commercial, and then it's like, all right, go to the Mets. Oh, the Mets are in commercial. All right, see what the Yankees are doing. Flip to the Yankees. All right, ESPN. Click it down. Go to ESPN, which was 15, I believe, on the box. So you would go. Now you're into the second row, right, on your cable box, and you would hit 15. Hey, anything on TBS? Boom, over 2 spots to TBS. And then at the end of the hour or the half hour, it would be, all right, well, you're going back to the cycle. Just check your baseball scores and go through. But then you would stop at the HBOs. All right, what's on the HBOs? I think we had 2 HBOs at the time. So it was HBO 1, HBO 2. So it's like, all right, we'll go down to HBO 1, 2. All right, what's on those? All right, Weather Channel. All right, you'd have to and this is basically it's muscle memory. Like you had to know where it was. You're not going one by one to figure out what they were. You had plenty of time to do that on your own. Now you're basically in the cockpit, and you're the one that's changing all the channels. It got so much easier when they converted to the cable boxes, because then you could actually use the remote control. And then there's my dad's in control of it now. So this is basically he was the commander, and he had somebody that was steering the ship. But then when he's given the remote control and he's the one that's steering, he was out of control. That channel clicker would be like 02, 07, 56, 45, and he would buzz through all the stuff to get a little glimpse of what's on during the hour, to just have an idea, and then it would be flipped through all of that stuff. So that, yeah, I mean, it's sort of like it kind of got out of control. And then it was always the fight for the remote control after that, which was a war of attrition. Whoever got into the room first could set it up for whatever they wanted to watch. Unfortunately, if if my dad came in and he's like, let's say he's cooking and it's a Saturday afternoon and there's a good movie on that I want to watch, but he needs football scores or he needs baseball scores or whatever. It's like if you have it on something that you're watching, it's like, all right, turn this off, put back on the college football. All right, watch that for a little while. Then he would leave the room, inevitably leave the room like within like 2 minutes to go back outside to cook. So you flip over to what you were watching. All right, great. I lost a little bit of the movie, but I know what I'm watching. And then you would hear the screen door slam out back, and you would kind of like feel his presence walking up, and it's like, all right, flip right back to it. Oh, this is a great game so far. This is really this is a real barn burner. You're missing a good one. And then he leaves the room again, and you're flipping back to it. So,
no, it used to always piss the family off was when we had TKR cable. So when the bill would come when they changed it, they would inevitably change the channels.
Yeah.
They would give you the laminated card that you could put on the back of the cable box.
Oh yeah.
That told you. So it was like now ESPN went from being channel 36 to now it's 21.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be like somebody would forget and it would be like, oh, put on ESPN or something, see if we get scores. And they hit 36. You'd be like, no, it's not 36 anymore. What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Or whatever it was. It was like, all right, I forgot. My God, it was like, oh, what's wrong with this kid, Ellen? He thought ESPN was 36.
But that was the other funny thing. It's like if you're the one that's like doing the studying, and the person that wants you to flip to the channel, and you're like, all right, well, I know now I got to go to 33, and it would be, why are you going to 33? And it's like, dude, they sent us a card that said that the channel changed. I looked this up. It's like, I don't believe you. And then you would flip it and be like, look, it's 33 now. It's not 15. We got a new box that had a new row that was added to it.
My favorite story to tell regarding the brown box in the wire was the Jet divisional game against the Cleveland Browns in '86, where Gastineau they get the double overtime, and Gastineau gets the 15-yarder for roughing the passer, and then the 15-yarder for doing this stupid sack dance.
Yeah.
And my dad takes the box and throws it across the room, and it hit. We had just gotten new furniture, and it was the remember, everybody, this is the 80s, so it was like wooden. The outside of it was wood.
Okay.
It was like an oak or whatever the hell it was, but then it had the cushions in the couch, so it hit the arm of the new furniture and put a big scrape. It put a big scrape on the top of it.
Wow.
And then hit the wall and busted. Yikes. So now, because the box was broke and he pulled the wire out from behind it, now like the cable
was no television
and snowy.
Yeah.
So like he's trying to watch the 4:00 playoff game, and it's all like blurring, it's all fuzzy, and he's trying to watch it through the static. And then he was getting more and more pissed off. And then my mother's yelling out about the couch, and it was like, but yet, here I am 40 years later, and I'm still a Jet fan.
I know.
That should have totally.
That would have been traumatizing. Yeah.
that should have totally. I'm not going anywhere near this, but
misery.
So yeah, that's cable boxes were fun. Yeah, especially when they eventually got to the point where with your remote that you could just hit the guide and then click down or whatever. It's
the best.
That was like when the Beatles came out or whatever. Like that was the best thing.
And the only other thing that I will add to that, and my sister still has cable at her house, so there's still, it's not like it's completely defunct. I haven't had cable, and I haven't had a cable box now for like almost going on 5 years. A lot of times I don't know what time it is, and I have to look at either my phone or my computer. I missed the time. The time on the box was the best, because it's like, all right, well, I'm going from room, even if it's not on, going from room to room. All right, I could check the time. Like, oh, the cable box is very trusty. It was my clock, and now I have to have my clock in my pocket. So
One last thing.
Hmm.
There was, God bless it. God rest his soul. God bless him. But there was nothing worse than when you were trying to flip over. Here's another thing for the young kids. When you used to watch a baseball game or a football game or whatever sporting event, it didn't automatically have the score in the upper corner.
Oh no.
So you either had to wait for the end of the inning
Mm-hmm.
or you had to wait for the announcer. And every time that you were trying to like flip over, whether it was to a Met game or whether it was a Yankee game, they try to get a quick score to get back to the Cosby Show or whatever it was that you were watching. Fucking Ralph Kiner would never shut. He would get in. He'd tell you everything about what color socks the players were wearing.
Yep.
The smell of the hot dogs. He'd be telling you everything, and all you're sitting there going, Ralph, what is the score? What's the score? What inning are we at? And he would tell you the sweat coming off Dwight Gooden's brow,
right.
and blah blah blah. And it's a windy night here at Shea.
Mm.
He'd tell you everything about the goddamn, and you were just like, Ralph, shut up and.
Scoreboard.
McCarver, please help me out.
Scoreboard.
Please, God, help me out, McCarver. That was why ESPN was the best, because they had the little scroller on the bottom. It was like, do I go to the actual game or do I just go to ESPN and hope that they're in baseball and I can find out the scores? So
this was the cheat code to that. My house always had, even if it was a low hum, it always had the radio on in the kitchen. So if and my dad was a smoker and he would smoke out in the backyard. So he would pass by that radio frequently during the evening, and it would be he could catch the score, or he would if he would hear a little bit of like something exciting happening, and this was like when cable became a little bit, you could flip. This was in the remote control times, so if he heard something like kind of exciting on the radio in the kitchen, he would be like, all right, real quick, go to the Met game real fast. Sounds like something good happened. And you would flip, and you're watching somebody in a home run trot, and then you see the replay, and it's like, so that was his little cheat code, was he still had the radio on in the kitchen 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it was on WFAN. So that was the concession.
So some of the other things that like I had kind of had in my head, won't really get into great discussion about it because we want to be here for 3 hours, but a lot of the stuff is basically just kind of been replaced by cell phones.
Yeah.
You think about the phone booth, having to try to find a payphone to call home.
Yeah.
Now kids, basically now they're like 4th or 5th grade, they're getting their own phone.
Right.
So now they just text mom or text dad when they need to get picked up.
Mm-hmm.
You had mentioned parking meters.
Yeah.
Having like if you went somewhere like in the city or something like that. Now and then it went from that to like, oh, the spot's numbered, so now I got to find where the parking
the pay
is.
Station. Yeah,
and
I hate the pay station.
And now everything like creatively, you go to Asbury for a show. You could download the Asbury Park app, and you can just pay for your parking right on your phone.
Yeah, I mean that's a convenience, but here's the thing, and this is why I'll tip my cap to parking meters. First of all, it forces you to bring about a bunch of change or collect a bunch of change in your car, because it's like, I never know when I have to be at a place that I need to feed a meter. But the meter was also like, that was kind of like your safety net, because especially if it was in an area like with a lot of meters, like a meter every spot, they're going to have it's going to have a meter in front of it that is going to be labeled, and you can remember where your car is, or it would have like a numbered, even when you were feeding the meter, like it would have like a numbered spot that you were in. So it's like, oh, okay, like this is good. So when I come out of this later, and I have to try and find my spot in the dark, like I'm looking for number 32, or I'm looking for this red parking meter or this green parking meter, and now I've got my demarcation. And that's still the case with the app. I mean, I get that that's the case, but the comfort of having a parking meter, it's not technology necessarily. Technology has taken its place, but I kind of wax nostalgic about the 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 visage of a lot full of parking meters that you can kind of backtrack to. So
I always wondered the person who had to manage the operating system of a payphone, like, did they listen in on, like, because at some point it became kind of almost you didn't get a live operator, it was automated. And the trick was, when it came time to, you would say collect call, who's it from, and then they would give you a moment to, like, say your name.
yeah.
And that was when you would go, "Hey mom, the movie's over, come pick me up."
Right, exactly. Yep.
So then when your mom would get the phone call, she would always deny the charges
Yep.
because you would say, "Hey mom, come pick me up."
And
I'm always
exactly.
wondering if like the person who was managing, if they're listening, like, "Oh, this poor kid, his mother never takes the charges.
Yeah.
She must really hate him."
Or listen, they're probably trained to the fact that, like, they're not going to pick up the. This has now become a cheat code for people to make free phone calls.
Like the woman at 495-1450 fucking hates her son.
Yeah,
She
just
never takes any of the phone calls.
Keep giving her D's on the parent report card.
I had joked in our pregame or pre-gate show, whatever, about the cell phone kind of replacing OTBs and going to bookies.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But or even casinos, people's, especially in that some of the casinos that people don't want to deal with the smoking, or some of the casinos
crowds,
where you can't smoke, they just stay home and they play slots on their. The cell phone has made gambling so much convenient,
of course,
and easier. And hey, if your team's not playing at 1:00, prop bets make everything very entertaining.
You bet. Yeah, I living proof on that one. I got to look at my golf bets when we're done with the podcast here, see how everybody's going. You're absolutely right, though. Like it basically, they built an industry out of mobile betting and online casinos and sports books and all that. So.
Plus, FanDuel's not going to come and break your legs if you don't cover the VIG.
No, but
we're a bookie.
I've heard of people who have their account suspended because and that's also, like, it's, you pay to play, but, like, if you're, if you're a little bit fast and loose with going in the negatives on stuff, or trying to put in, like, phony bank information, they find that stuff out right away. So.
Yeah, but they're not coming and breaking your legs.
No, they're suspending your account.
There's not, like, some sort of, I don't know, with, like, the such and such, the Scallucci brothers aren't going to come and rough you up.
Maybe
some sort of, like, made up Italian name and then put brothers at the end of it.
Yeah, the Scallucci brothers are going to give you a virus on your on your computer or your smartphone.
The worst you get is a nope, like. You get that thing that pops up on the home screen, like, you cannot access it.
Access denied.
Oh man, I got to come up with another email address to make a new log on.
Scallucci robots.
I guess the last thing to really kind of get into is just the evolution. Briefly get into, like, the evolution of computers.
Yeah.
Like how we went from. I mean, it's kind of funny. The other night I was flipping through the channels, and the 1980s classic War Games was on.
Oh yeah.
And to think, like, the whole thing was, like, it was going from being man operated to our defense system, or was being operated by this computer, and the computer was, like, the size of a garage.
Yeah, it was a big mainframe, brother.
Or whatever. It was like, oh my god, it was just like it, like. There was, like, 6 people walking around it in charge of, like, making sure it was just like, oh my god, like, this thing it's like the size of an above ground pool. Like, this thing is ridiculous. Like, so to think, like, we went from that to, like, your home PC, or not PC, personal computers and PCs and stuff.
And don't sleep on the fact that those were big when they first, like, so when. Much like the VCR, they were very expensive to, like, buy and have one at your house. So eventually they retrofitted them and they dropped the charges. But even still, like some of those, like those old, like, the solid body, the big solid body monitor, and not big like your TV, but like, your 13-inch monitor that you would have. And then basically like the size of two VCRs like slammed together was your hard drive or your motherboard and all of your computer hardware. And they had 6,000 wires that went to this, and everybody had to have a printer. So you got, a wire to the printer and all the other fun commodities that went with it. So, I mean, when we first got one, it was sort of like a shrunken down version of that, but still the body of it was pretty big. But I knew kids when I was in high school that, they were the first ones that I saw that had modems, and the modem was like War Games, where it's a phone receiver that plugs into your computer, and you pick it up and you put it down, and then you dial out to get to the rudimentary internet, just to do like a 10-minute chat with somebody or to like play a game. And it was ahead of its time, but then that started to shrink and shrink and shrink. So
my aunt was very big into computers. She had like the first Macintosh and the first app, I do remember her. I was probably eight or nine. She got the first portable computer.
Okay.
And that thing was like, it was probably about maybe 18 inches wide. It was probably about 3 feet. If you stood it up, it was like 3 feet. And it had like a little handle on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then what you would do is, like, if you got to somebody's house, you put it on a table or whatever, the handle would turn into the thing so that you could pivot up. The face of it detached, and that was your keyboard. And it had, I am not shitting you, it had a 5-inch screen on it. But it had a port next to it. That's where you put the floppy disk in. And that was the thing, was like, where if you had a personal computer, things you could save or whatever, like whatever was on the floppy disk was the only thing that you could access.
Yeah.
There was you couldn't hook a hard drive up to it or anything.
Yeah.
And I just remember, like, she brought it over to the house. It was like, oh, like Aunt Joan got the first like portable computer. Like, you could bring it wherever you wanted to go. One, I think it weighed like 34 or 40 pounds. It was heavy.
Right, yeah.
And then, like, when she was like, okay, here it is, and then you saw like the size of the screen, it was like,
what a ripoff.
Like, you were looking at her like, and how much did you pay for this shit? Like,
yeah, right.
it was just, but that was the original laptop. Was the cooler full of ice weighing portable computer.
Yeah, this giant roller suitcase that you're bringing with you.
Yeah, everybody, the PCs, your personal computers, your home computers got better. Monitors were still always really heavy until really flat screens. They were always the heaviest damn part of it.
They were the trends on those always followed the trends on your home television anyway. So when you think about it, like, you didn't really get flat screen TVs until probably the late 90s, mid 90s it started to roll out, but the late 90s. So then your flat screens on your monitors didn't really start to evolve until like the early 2000s, mid 2000s. So think about that.
Crazy.
I know, right?
Obviously, eventually, like anything else, it was like, well, we have to figure out how we can do this stuff on the go. Laptops became like a necessity, especially in your work or your business or whatever. Like, laptops became a necessity. There was no way that you could operate anything without everybody had to have one, because it turned into, well, not only do we expect you to be on the computer when you're at work, now we want you to be on the computer when you're at home.
Yeah.
So what's the best way to, take your work home with you was to have a laptop.
Well, you could have a word processor. We had a portable word processor for a while, and that had like a little small, like almost like an LED screen that like the words would pop up as you're typing them, and then you could save it to a disk, or you could print it out, hook it up and then print from there. But yeah, I mean, it was a little like the display screen was like small, and it was more or less like something almost like a flip up attachment to it. But yeah, I mean, the first laptops were also bulky and small screen things too. Like, so, it changed a lot because, again, I talked about it when we were talking about music. All of a sudden it becomes personal, and if it's personal and it's portable for you only, then that becomes much more appealing. And it's like, well, I can take this wherever I'm going. And this is certainly like way more convenient and interesting to me than having to be like, I have to be in the computer room to like do this or at my desk at home because that's where the PC is. So yeah.
I think it was my brother's. It was a combination of a kind of going back to the typewriters, but I just remembered he had this. It was like a square, gray like looking thing that you could put paper into it.
Yeah, yeah.
And it had a little display screen, and then you would sit there and you could type out the sentence, go back and check the sentence and make sure you didn't have any errors, and then you hit a button and it would just start typing it on.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Or like you could actually get like, I think you couldn't go past a page.
Right.
But you could type the whole page or whatever and then hit print. And then it would
print your page up. Mm-hmm.
It would have like the sound of a typewriter. It would go tick, 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 and it would it would type everything out. That I remember like when he first started using that, I was like, holy, like wow, like this is
so fast.
And there were like these little things that looked like bullets that you had. That was for the color. You could have different colors rather than just black. You could.
Yeah.
But I remember
that was the brother.
I felt like that was
Brother word processor. That's the company. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember who it was, but it was like that was like I was like wow. Like I remember he got that when he went to college.
Yeah. Yeah.
He had to type out all reports, and that was pretty. I was like, that's revolutionary. That's going to change the world.
It's true.
Plus, now that laptops became very convenient once all the VHS and DVD stores kind of went out of business, because now you could just watch your porn privately on a laptop in your own home.
I'm not going to disagree with that.
Imagine what it did to how much money it made the porn industry.
Oh, you know how much money it made the porn industry? You know how much money it made the PC and the laptop manufacturers? Because here's the other thing. The early days of internet porn is what it is. It is free. It is accessible to anybody. You'd kind of be silly to pay for it. With that being said,
I'm talking about. Remember when I knew people, not me, but that had CD-ROMs.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you had CD-ROMs almost like you had like a videotape or a DVD of it. But the point that I'm getting at is like I'm talking about downloading it from the internet. You would have to download the file, and it would sit on your computer. And some of those files were very corrupt, right? And they would be riddled with viruses. So it would be like, hey, this fucked my computer up, and now I got to shamefully bring this in and basically say, hey, I need this fixed because there's a fuck ton of pornography that's eating away at my computer because downloads weren't policed as thoroughly as they should have been in the infancy of internet pornography. So therefore, we've got a problem.
Don't forget. Then there was like that awkward conversation with the guy at the computer store because he was like he knows that you've got naughty nurses too.
Yeah.
And he's saying I thought naughty nurses 1 was like way better.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, really, are we sitting here talking about whether the sequel is better than the original?
Yeah. He becomes a film critic.
Yeah.
And then the only way to fire back at that is like, yeah, no, this is why it's corrupting my computer. It's not that great. I really thought they lost the plot too. And then you get the chuckle out of them. And then it's like, can you just scrub my computer, Geek Squad guy, and send me on my way.
Plus, it was like, I can't believe they couldn't get back, Ginger so-and-so for the, like she was doing anything better. She couldn't come back for the sequel.
Seriously, the original cast made it worth it.
Oh, exactly. But yeah, laptops, I mean, eventually those got smaller and smaller. And then now I would say iPads and any kind of variation of those.
Yeah, your tablets.
Now become your tablets. I think Kindles for a while were like a big thing for people, instead of reading or buying books, physical books, Kindles were pretty big for a while.
Yeah.
Now, there's not that much you can't do on your smartphone that you can't do like on a I mean, to a certain extent.
Well,
but pretty much everything now you could basically do from your smartphone now.
Don't tell that to my employers, because I work from home and I use a laptop and I've got 3 monitors, and it's still.
No, but I mean, yeah, I mean, to download all the different systems. I mean, I would doubt that a lot of the systems that we use at our jobs would be available on a phone or whatever.
Yeah,
so
right.
But I'm just thinking practical, like every day, like
for like watching stuff, or of course, yeah.
Watching,
yeah.
Dude, you could buy concert tickets. You don't have to like
type out emails that way. Mm-hmm.
I can send pictures. I could do whatever, basically anything I really. A lot of like what you would use your laptop on your downtime for, you could pretty much now do right on your phone.
My little hand computer will take care of that. No problemo. So very good.
So yeah, I think that we put a bow on the. There's so many other things that I think, like you were saying, that will probably will become their own topics about.
True.
Newspapers, things like that eventually down the line we'll probably do an episode about how people consume their news and how they used to and all that stuff.
And even their media, for sure.
So yeah, that's I'm sure there's other stuff out there that obviously advancements in the technology or whatever. Hell, you could sit there and talk about how much cars are different nowadays compared to, when we first got our driver's license and stuff.
Or ways of cooking, or ways of taking care of, your, the lighting in your house.
Set the temperature.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
You could set the temperature and what lights you want on the house, and you could ring cams. You could see who the hell's outside your house now. So,
That's right.
All advancements in technology. Like I always say when I get the chance on these episodes, if there's something that you think that was pretty obvious that we missed, that you can't believe that we didn't discuss, feel free to leave a comment on the socials.
That's right.
Or
That's right.
even on Spotify. If you listen to us through Spotify, there's a comment section. There's a comment section, so feel free. Leave comments there. Or,
complain away.
Hey, most of our listeners probably have our cell phones. So
hey, come on, let's not dox each other on this one. But yeah, absolutely.
And then we'll say, don't ever text me here about this. Please go to the. Yeah. We have social media pages for this this podcast.
That's true.
Leave the comments there.
Yeah.
This way it looks like we have listeners.
That's right. You can find us, Captain and Madden Show, on all socials. But fun episode, interesting discussion of technology, old technology merging into new technology. It certainly is it's a topic we can circle back to and pare down to in the future. So well presented, Captain. Fantastic job with the heavy lifting on this one. So so that'll be it for us. On behalf of the Captain, Michael Corby, on your end, this is Mike Madden. We hope you guys have a great night, and we will see you on the next episode.